Marriage is like milk. You don't notice it's spoiled until it stinks up the fridge. I'm standing in my kitchen at 11:30 on a Tuesday night, staring at the remnants of what was supposed to be a romantic dinner. Marta's lipstick stain marks the rim of her wineglass like a bloody fingerprint at a crime scene. The candles have burned down to waxy stumps, and the pasta I spent 2 hours making sits congealed on her plate, barely touched. She's upstairs in our bedroom, probably scrolling through her phone, ignoring my existence with the practiced indifference of a woman who's already checked out of our marriage, but hasn't bothered to pack her bags yet. My name is Adam Miller, and I'm 43 years old. I manage logistics at Hartwell Manufacturing, a job that sounds boring, but pays well enough to afford this sprawling Victorian house in Millbrook, Maine. The house has good bones, as they say, but it's showing its age, much like my marriage to Marta. Marta's 39. Beautiful in that sharp-edged way that advertising executives need to be. She runs campaigns for big companies, the kind that convince people they need things they never knew they wanted. She's good at manipulation, which I used to find attractive. Now it just makes me tired. The dishwater is scalding hot as I scrub the plates, but I barely feel it. My mind is elsewhere, picking at the scab of tonight's disaster. I'd planned everything perfectly. Her favorite wine, homemade fettuccine alfredo, soft jazz playing in the background. I even bought flowers, real ones, not the grocery store bouquet I usually grab on my way home. But Marta had come home late, as usual, claiming a client emergency. She barely glanced at the table, muttered something about not being hungry, and spent most of dinner texting. When I asked who she was messaging, she'd given me that look, the one that said I was being pathetic and needy. Just work stuff, Adam. You wouldn't understand. That's her favorite phrase lately. You wouldn't understand. As if my blue-collar background somehow makes me incapable of grasping the complexities of her white-collar world. I dry my hands on the dish towel and check my phone. No messages. Derek, my oldest friend, had invited me to the backstep for drinks, but I'd turned him down for this romantic evening that turned into another exercise in humiliation. The house creaks around me as I turn off the lights and head upstairs. Marta's already in bed, her back turned to me, breathing in that fake sleep rhythm that tells me she's wide awake but doesn't want to talk. I slip into bed quietly, staring at the ceiling in the darkness. The silence between us feels heavier than the old house's timber beams. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Marta has a late meeting, or so she says. These late meetings have become more frequent over the past few months. Always on Wednesdays and Fridays. Always with important clients, whose names she never mentions. I'm not stupid. I've been married to Marta for 8 years, and I know when something's off. The signs are all there. The new clothes, the expensive perfume, the way she guards her phone like it contains state secrets, the sudden interest in yoga classes that somehow never result in any actual flexibility or peace of mind. But knowing something and proving it are two different things entirely. I close my eyes and try to sleep, but my mind keeps churning. In the logistics business, you learn to see patterns, to spot the inconsistencies that reveal bigger problems. A shipment that's consistently late, a driver who always has car trouble on the same day of the week, inventory that doesn't match the paperwork. These things don't happen by accident. Marta's behavior has patterns too, and tomorrow I'm going to start documenting them. Wednesday morning arrives gray and drizzling, typical Maine weather that matches my mood. Marta is already gone by the time I wake up, another new habit. She used to linger over coffee, complaining about her coworkers or gossiping about the neighbors. Now, she's out the door before I've even opened my eyes. I make coffee in the silence of our kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd hoped to salvage our marriage just hours ago. The morning light reveals the water spots on the wine glasses I'd thought I'd cleaned properly, small imperfections that somehow seem significant. At work, I go through the motions of managing shipping schedules and coordinating deliveries, but my mind is elsewhere. During my lunch break, I drive to Radio Shack and buy a small GPS tracker, the kind worried parents use to keep tabs on teenage drivers. It's perfectly legal, I tell myself. The car is in both our names. The device is smaller than a matchbox and magnetic. It takes me less than 30 seconds to attach it under Marta's rear bumper when I get home that evening. She's still at work, or wherever she actually goes when she says she's at work. I also download a phone monitoring app, the kind marketed to parents who want to track their kids' activities. Again, perfectly legal since I pay for both our phones under a family plan. The installation requires physical access to her device, which means I'll have to wait for the right opportunity. That opportunity comes Friday morning. Marta's in the shower, and her phone is charging on the nightstand. It takes me 3 minutes to install the app and delete any trace of the download from her phone's history. My hands are shaking slightly, as I place the phone back exactly where I found it. But I manage to get back to the kitchen before she emerges from the bathroom. "Good morning," I say, pouring her coffee into the travel mug she prefers. She grunts something that might be a greeting and grabs the mug without looking at me. Her hair is still damp, and she smells like the expensive shampoo she started buying a few months ago. "Late meeting tonight?" I ask, keeping my voice casual. "Probably." The Morrison account is being difficult. She's checking her phone as she talks, scrolling through messages with the focused attention she used to give me. Morrison. I make a mental note of the name, though I suspect it's fictional. After she leaves, I test the tracking app on my laptop. A red dot appears on a map of Millbrook, moving along Route 15 toward the business district. So far, so normal. The day passes slowly. I catch myself checking the tracker every few minutes, watching Marta's digital footprint as she moves around town. Lunch at Cafe Luna, nothing suspicious there. Back to her office on Maple Street. Normal patterns for a normal workday. It's at 4:30 p.m. that things get interesting. The red dot moves away from downtown, heading toward the Lake District where the expensive homes are. It stops at 47 Lakeshore Drive, an address I don't recognize. I pull up the property records online. The house belongs to Ryan Carter, a local real estate developer I've seen at town events. He's one of those guys who wears expensive suits and drives a BMW. The kind of man who thinks his success makes him irresistible to women. The red dot stays at Ryan's house for 2 hours. When Marta comes home at 8:30, she looks flushed and slightly disheveled. Her story about the difficult client meeting doesn't quite match the timeline I've been tracking, but I don't say anything. Not yet. "How was your day?" she asks, which surprises me. She hasn't asked about my day in weeks. Same as always. Trucks, schedules, paperwork. I study her face as I speak, looking for tells. "How's the Morrison account?" "Fine. We're making progress." She won't meet my eyes. "I'm going to take a bath." As she heads upstairs, I check her phone activity through the monitoring app. 3 calls to a number I don't recognize, all made while she was at Ryan's house. Dozens of text messages, but the app only shows timestamps, not content. She must have encryption enabled. I pour myself a scotch and sit in my basement office, staring at the evidence I've collected. It's not enough for a confrontation, but it's enough to confirm my suspicions. My wife is having an affair with Ryan Carter, and she's been lying to me for months. The smart thing would be to hire a private investigator, gather more evidence, and consult a divorce lawyer. The smart thing would be to protect my assets and plan my exit strategy, but I've never been accused of being smart when it comes to matters of the heart. I have a different plan in mind. Saturday night, Marta announces we're having dinner at Rosario's, the upscale Italian place downtown. It's not a romantic dinner for 2. She's invited her sister Victoria and her friend Taylor, along with their husbands. And Ryan Carter. "Ryan's been going through a rough divorce," she explains as she applies lipstick in the hallway mirror. I thought it would be nice to include him. The irony is so thick I could cut it with a knife, but I just nod and straighten my tie. I've worn my best suit, the navy one that makes me look like I belong in Marta's social circle instead of a factory floor. Rosario's is crowded, filled with the kind of people who think spending $50 on pasta makes them sophisticated. Our table is in the center of the dining room, perfectly positioned for maximum visibility. Marta loves being seen. Ryan arrives 10 minutes late, making an entrance that draws looks from other diners. He's tall and tanned, with the kind of confidence that comes from never having been told no. He kisses Marta's cheek when he greets her, his hand lingering on her shoulder just a beat too long. "Adam, good to see you again," he says, extending his hand. His grip is firm, meant to intimidate. I squeeze back just hard enough to let him know I'm not impressed. "Ryan, how's the real estate business?" "Booming. Always opportunities for the right investor." His smile is practiced, the kind he probably uses on clients. "Maybe we should talk sometime. I could show you some properties that might interest you." I bet you could, I think. But I just smile and take a sip of wine. The conversation flows around the table. Gossip about people I don't care about, complaints about work, discussions of vacation plans I'm apparently not part of. Marta is animated in a way I haven't seen in months, laughing at Ryan's stories, touching his arm when she makes a point. Victoria, Marta's younger sister, keeps shooting me sympathetic looks. She's always been the family screw-up, the one who bounces from job to job and man to man, but she's not stupid. She can see what's happening at this table. Taylor, on the other hand, is oblivious. She's too busy documenting everything on social media, taking photos of the food and posting updates about their amazing girls' night out. She works at Marta's advertising agency, and the two of them feed off each other's drama like vampires. I excuse myself to use the restroom, but instead I slip outside to the parking lot. Ryan's BMW is parked near the entrance, pristine and gleaming under the streetlights. I walk around it slowly, as if admiring the paint job, but I'm actually looking for something specific. I find it tucked under the rear wiper blade, a folded piece of paper. I glance around to make sure no one's watching, then unfold it. Thank you for last night. Can't wait for tomorrow. M. Marta's handwriting. A love note, left where Ryan would find it when he came to dinner. The audacity of it takes my breath away. She's not just cheating on me, she's flaunting it. I refold the note and put it back where I found it, but not before taking a photo with my phone. Then I return to the restaurant, my mind racing with possibilities. The dessert course arrives and Taylor pulls out her phone to take more photos. Everyone smile! This is going on Instagram! We pose dutifully, and I make sure to put my arm around Marta, playing the part of the devoted husband. But as Taylor reviews the photos, her expression changes. Oh no, this one's blurry. Let me take another. Wait, what's this? She's looking at her phone screen, zooming in on something in the background of one of her shots. I lean over to see It's a photo of Ryan's car in the parking lot, and clearly visible on the windshield is Marta's love note. Taylor's eyes widen as she reads it, and she immediately shows it to her husband, who lets out a low whistle. The whispered conversation spreads around the table like wildfire. Marta goes pale when she realizes what's happened. She tries to grab Taylor's phone, but it's too late. Taylor has already shared the photo with the other wives, and they're all staring at the evidence of her affair. Marta, Victoria says quietly. What the hell? The table falls silent. Ryan looks like he wants to disappear, and Marta's face cycles through several emotions before settling on defiant anger. It's not what it looks like, she says, but her voice lacks conviction. Really, I say, speaking for the first time in 20 minutes? Because it looks like you're screwing Ryan Carter and leaving in love notes like a teenager. The entire restaurant seems to quiet down, conversations at nearby tables trailing off as people sense drama unfolding. Marta's carefully constructed social image is crumbling in real time, and she knows it. Adam, please, she hisses, not here. Why not here? This is where you wanted to have dinner with your boyfriend. Seems like the perfect place to discuss it. Ryan finally finds his voice. Look, Adam, I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, I interrupt, is thinking I'm stupid enough not to notice. I stand up, throwing my napkin on the table. The entire restaurant is watching now, phones probably recording every word. Marta's worst nightmare, public humiliation, is playing out exactly as I'd hoped. Enjoy your dessert, I tell the table. I'm sure you'll have plenty to talk about. I walk out of Rosario's with my head held high, leaving behind a table full of shocked faces and the wreckage of my marriage. It's not the most mature way to handle the situation, but it's deeply satisfying. My phone buzzes as I reach my car. A text from Derek. Heard there was some excitement at Rosario's. Want to talk about it over a beer? News travels fast in a small town. By tomorrow, everyone in Millbrook will know that Adam Miller's wife is cheating on him with Ryan Carter. The humiliation should sting, but instead I feel oddly liberated. The gloves are officially off. The fallout from the restaurant incident spreads through Millbrook like spilled wine on white linen. By Monday morning, everyone knows about Marta's affair, and I can feel the weight of their stares and whispered conversations everywhere I go. I expect sympathy, maybe some righteous anger on my behalf. What I don't expect is for my friends to turn against me. It starts with Derek. We've been friends since high school, the kind of friendship forged over shared detention halls and weekend fishing trips. He's always been the steady one, the guy you call when you need help moving or someone to vouch for your character. So when he calls me Tuesday evening, I assume he wants to offer support. Adam, we need to talk, he says, his voice strained. Can you meet me at the Backstep? The Backstep is our usual hangout, a dive bar on the edge of town where the beer is cheap and the conversation is honest. I arrive to find Derek already there, nursing a whiskey and looking uncomfortable. Thanks for coming, he says, as I slide into the booth across from him. I wasn't sure you would. Why wouldn't I? You're my friend. Derek winces. That's what makes this so hard. The bartender brings me my usual beer without being asked. the benefits of being a regular. But the familiar ritual feels off tonight, charged with tension I don't understand. Derek, what's going on? He takes a deep breath. Look, I know Marta hurt you. What she did was wrong, and I'm sorry you had to find out the way you did. But the way you handled it at Rosario's? That was pretty harsh, man. I stare at him. Harsh? She's been cheating on me for months, and I'm the bad guy for calling her out? You humiliated her in front of the entire town. That photo Taylor took is all over social media. Marta can barely show her face at work. Good. Maybe she should have thought about that before she started screwing around. Derek shakes his head. See, this is what I'm talking about. You're angry, and I get that. But you're becoming someone I don't recognize. The Adam I know doesn't destroy people for revenge. The Adam you knew was a sucker who let his wife walk all over him. Maybe it's time for an upgrade. Listen to yourself. You sound bitter and mean. Sarah's worried about you, and honestly, so am I. Sarah is Derek's wife, a sweet woman who's always been kind to me. The fact that she's worried about me stings more than I want to admit. What exactly are you worried about? That you're going to do something stupid. Something that'll make this whole situation worse. I lean back in the booth, studying my oldest friend's face. So you're here to what? Stage an intervention? Tell me to be a good boy and take my lumps quietly? I'm here because I care about you. We all do. But if you keep going down this path, you're going to lose more than just your marriage. The threat is implicit but clear. Behave yourself, or lose your friends, too. Who's we all, Derek? He looks away. The guys. Tom, Mike, Jeff. We've been talking, and we think maybe you need some space to cool off. Get your head straight. Tom, Mike, and Jeff. My poker buddies, my weekend fishing companions, the guys I've known for decades. They've been talking about me behind my back, deciding I'm the problem. So you're cutting me out of the group. Not cutting you out, just taking a break, until you can handle this like a mature adult. I finish my beer in one long swallow and stand up. You know what, Derek? You're right. I am becoming someone you don't recognize. And you know what else? I like him better than the guy who used to let everyone walk all over him. Adam, don't do this. Don't throw away 25 years of friendship over pride. I'm not throwing it away. You are. I walk out of the back step, knowing I'll probably never be welcome there again. The realization should hurt, but instead, it feels like shedding dead skin. These men, who I thought were my friends, have decided that keeping the peace is more important than loyalty. They'd rather sacrifice me than deal with the uncomfortable truth that sometimes good people get screwed over. My phone buzzes as I reach my car. A text from Tom. Heard you and Derek had words. Maybe we should all sit down and talk this through. I delete the message without responding. There's nothing to talk through. They've made their choice, and now I'll make mine. The house is dark when I get home. Marta's car isn't in the driveway. She's been staying at Victoria's since the restaurant incident, claiming she needs space to think. The space is fine with me. It gives me room to plan. I pour myself a scotch and sit in my basement office, surrounded by the evidence I've been collecting. GPS tracking data showing Marta's regular visits to Ryan's house. Phone records revealing dozens of calls between them. Screenshots of social media posts that don't match her supposed whereabouts. I have enough evidence to destroy her in a divorce proceeding. But that's not enough anymore. She didn't just betray our marriage. She made me look like a fool in front of the entire town. And when I tried to defend myself, my own friends turned against me. They want to see me be mature and reasonable. They want me to handle this like an adult. Fine. I'll show them exactly what a mature, reasonable adult can accomplish when he puts his mind to it. I open my laptop and start researching Ryan Carter's business dealings. If I'm going to war, I need to know my enemy's weaknesses. Ryan Carter's life looks perfect from the outside. Successful business, expensive house, carefully curated social media presence full of charity events and golf tournaments. But I've learned that the prettier the facade, the uglier the truth underneath. It takes me 3 days of digging through public records, business filings, and newspaper archives to find the cracks in Ryan's armor. The man's not as successful as he pretends to be. His real estate company has been struggling for months, propped up by increasingly creative financing arrangements. He's leveraged to the hilt, and several of his recent developments are behind schedule and over budget. More interesting is his pattern with women. This isn't his first affair with a married woman. It's his specialty. I find traces of at least 3 other relationships over the past 5 years, all following the same pattern. Successful married women with something to offer, whether it's business connections, social status, or just the thrill of the forbidden. Ryan Carter is a predator who feeds on other people's marriages, and Marta is just his latest victim. Except she doesn't see herself as a victim. She sees herself as special, chosen, the one who's finally going to tame the bad boy. Wednesday afternoon, I take a long lunch break and drive to Ryan's office building downtown. His company, Carter Development, occupies a corner suite on the 3rd floor, all glass and chrome and expensive furniture designed to impress potential clients. I don't go inside. Instead, I sit in my truck across the street and watch. At 2:30, Marta's car pulls into the parking lot. She's not supposed to be here. According to her social media posts, she's at a client meeting across town. But there she is, walking into Ryan's building like she owns the place. She emerges an hour later, hair slightly messed up and lipstick refreshed. The affair isn't just continuing, it's escalating. They're not even trying to be discreet anymore. That evening, I drive past Ryan's lake house. His BMW is in the driveway next to Marta's sedan, and the lights are on in the bedroom window. They're having their cozy little domestic evening, while I eat a frozen dinner alone in the house I've been paying for. The GPS tracker confirms what I already know. This is where Marta spends most of her evenings now. She comes home just long enough to shower and change clothes, then leaves again with some excuse about work or friends or errands that can't wait. I'm documenting everything, building a case that would make any divorce lawyer salivate. But a divorce isn't enough anymore. I want them to understand what it feels like to have your life turned upside down by someone you trusted. Thursday morning, I call in sick to work and drive to the town clerk's office. Millbrook is small enough that most public records are still kept in filing cabinets rather than digital databases, which means I can access information that might not show up in online searches. What I find is fascinating. Ryan's been applying for permits to develop a large tract of land on the outskirts of town, a project that would make him millions if it goes through. But the permits are tied up in environmental reviews and zoning disputes, and he's burning through cash while he waits for approval. More importantly, I discover that Marta's advertising agency has been hired to handle the marketing for the development. It's a conflict of interest that could get her fired if her boss knew about her relationship with Ryan. I make photocopies of everything relevant and add them to my growing file. The picture that emerges is of 2 people who are not just having an affair, but potentially engaging in business fraud as well. My phone rings as I'm leaving the clerk's office. Victoria's name appears on the screen. Adam, can we talk? I think you deserve to know some things about what's really going on. We meet at a coffee shop on the other side of town, away from prying eyes and gossiping tongues. Victoria looks tired, older than her 35 years, with the kind of stress lines that come from keeping other people's secrets. Marta's going to kill me for this, she says, stirring sugar into her latte with shaking hands. But I can't watch her destroy your life and pretend it's okay. What do you want to tell me? The affair started 6 months ago, not 2 like she's been saying. She met Ryan at a business networking event, and he pursued her hard. Flowers, expensive dinners, weekend trips to Boston. She was flattered by the attention. 6 months. Half a year of lies and deception while I tried to save our marriage with romantic dinners and weekend getaways she clearly didn't want. There's more, Victoria continues. She's been talking about leaving you, but she wants to make sure she gets as much as possible in the divorce. Ryan's been giving her advice about hiding assets and making you look bad. Making me look bad how? The restaurant scene? That wasn't an accident. She wanted you to find that note. She wanted you to lose your temper in public so she could claim you were unstable, maybe even abusive. The manipulation runs deeper than I thought. Marta didn't just cheat on me. She orchestrated my public humiliation as part of a calculated plan to destroy my reputation and maximize her financial gain. Why are you telling me this? Victoria meets my eyes for the first time since we sat down. Because you've always been good to me, even when I screwed up. And because what she's doing is wrong. You don't deserve this, Adam. What else do you know? They're planning something big, some kind of business deal that's going to make them both rich. Marta's been bragging about how she'll never have to worry about money again. The development project. It has to be connected to Ryan's land deal and Marta's marketing contract. Victoria, I need you to do something for me. She looks wary. What kind of something? Keep listening. Keep being her confidant. And when you hear something important, call me. Adam, I don't want to get in the middle of this. You're already in the middle. The question is which side you're on. She agrees, reluctantly, and we part ways. As I drive home, I feel the pieces of a larger plan starting to fall into place. Marta and Ryan think they're playing chess, while I'm playing checkers. They're about to learn that I've been playing a different game entirely. The call comes on Friday afternoon. Victoria's voice is tight with panic. Adam, you need to know something. Marta and Ryan are meeting with a lawyer tomorrow morning. They're planning to file papers claiming you've been threatening them. They want a restraining order. My blood turns to ice. A restraining order would destroy my reputation and give Marta leverage in the divorce proceedings. It would also make it impossible for me to defend myself or gather more evidence. What kind of threats? They're claiming you've been following them, vandalizing Ryan's property and making harassing phone calls. Marta showed the lawyer some screenshots of text messages that looked threatening. I never sent her any threatening messages. I know, but the messages looked real, and the lawyer seemed convinced. They're manufacturing evidence, creating a narrative that paints me as the dangerous, unstable husband. It's a smart strategy. If it works, they'll have me neutralized while they proceed with their plans. But I have evidence too, and it's time to use it. Victoria, where are they meeting the lawyer? Henderson and Associates, downtown, 10 a.m. tomorrow. I thank her and hang up, then spend the rest of the evening preparing. I print out every piece of evidence I've collected. GPS tracking data, phone records, business documents, photographs. I organize it all in a folder labeled The Truth About Marta Miller and Ryan Carter. Saturday morning, I dress carefully in my best suit and drive downtown. Henderson and Associates occupies a converted Victorian house near the courthouse, the kind of place that specializes in messy divorces and custody battles. I arrive at 9:45 and wait in my truck across the street. At exactly 10 o'clock, Marta and Ryan walk up the front steps together, holding hands like teenagers. They look confident, pleased with themselves, ready to deliver the knockout punch that will end this fight once and for all. I give them 15 minutes to get settled, then walk into the law office carrying my folder. I'm here to see Mr. Henderson, I tell the receptionist. It's about the Miller case. She looks confused. Are you Adam Miller? Because Mr. Henderson is already meeting with, I know exactly who he's meeting with. That's why I'm here. She makes a phone call, and a few minutes later, a tall man in an expensive suit emerges from the back office. He looks annoyed at the interruption. Mr. Miller? I'm James Henderson. I understand you wanted to speak with me, but, as I'm sure you know, I represent your wife in this matter. It would be inappropriate for me to... You represent my wife in a matter involving false accusations and fabricated evidence, I interrupt. I think you'll want to see what I have before you file any paperwork. Henderson's expression changes. Behind him, I can see Marta and Ryan through the partially open office door. Marta looks pale, but Ryan appears confident, probably thinking I'm here to beg or make threats that will only support their case. What kind of evidence? Henderson asks. I open my folder and hand him the GPS tracking data. This shows my wife's location for the past 6 weeks. As you can see, she's been spending most of her time at Mr. Carter's residence, often during business hours, when she's supposed to be at work. Henderson studies the documents, his lawyer's mind immediately grasping the implications. I also have phone records showing hundreds of calls and text messages between them, dating back 6 months. And here are business documents showing that my wife's company has been hired to market Mr. Carter's development project, a clear conflict of interest that her employer doesn't know about. I hand him more papers. Here are photographs of them together at various locations, along with timestamps that contradict the alibis they've been giving me. And this, I produce the photo of Marta's love note on Ryan's windshield, shows that they've been deliberately flaunting their affair in public. Henderson's face grows increasingly grim as he reviews the evidence. Mr. Miller, why are you showing me this? Because your clients are about to ask you to file false accusations against me. They want a restraining order based on fabricated evidence and manufactured threats. I want you to know the truth before you put your reputation on the line for them. The office door opens wider, and Marta steps out. She's trying to look composed, but I can see the fear in her eyes. Adam, what are you doing here? I'm here to make sure Mr. Henderson has all the facts before he files any paperwork on your behalf. Ryan appears behind her, his confidence finally starting to crack. You need to leave. This is harassment. Actually, Henderson says quietly, I think I need to speak with my clients privately. Mr. Miller, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I'll be in touch. I nod and turn to leave, but not before looking directly at Marta. You wanted to play games? Let's play. As I walk out of the law office, I can hear raised voices from behind the closed door. Henderson is asking pointed questions about the evidence I've provided, and neither Marta nor Ryan has good answers. My phone rings before I reach my truck. Derek's name appears on the screen. Adam? I heard you were downtown at Henderson's office. Please tell me you're not doing something stupid. I'm doing something smart. There's a difference. Look, I know you're angry, but this isn't the way to handle it. Come to the back step tonight. Let's talk this through like adults. Adults? Like the way you and the guys handled it when you decided to cut me out of the group. Derek sighs. We made a mistake. We should have supported you instead of judging you. But it's not too late to fix this. You're right. It's not too late. But I'm not the one who needs to fix anything. I hang up and drive home, feeling lighter than I have in months. The confrontation at the law office was just the opening move. Marta and Ryan think they can manipulate the system to destroy me, but they've underestimated what a motivated man with nothing left to lose can accomplish. The real game is just beginning. The restraining order never gets filed. In fact, by Monday morning, James Henderson has withdrawn from representing Marta entirely, citing irreconcilable differences with the client's version of events. Word spreads quickly through Millbrook's legal community that the Miller divorce case involves false accusations and potential fraud. Marta's furious. She shows up at the house Tuesday evening, her face flushed with anger and desperation. What did you say to Henderson? She demands, storming into the kitchen where I'm making dinner. I told him the truth, something you might want to try sometime. You had no right to interfere with my legal representation. I had every right to protect myself from false accusations. Did you really think I wouldn't find out about your plan to claim I was threatening you? She has the grace to look ashamed, but it only lasts a moment. You've been stalking me, Adam. Following me around town, tracking my movements. That's not normal behavior. Neither is screwing your business partner while planning to defraud your husband, but here we are. I never defrauded anyone. I pull out copies of the business documents I'd shown Henderson. Really? Because these contracts show that your agency is being paid to market Ryan's development project while you're having an affair with him. That's a conflict of interest that could get you fired, and possibly charged with fraud. Marta's face goes white as she realizes how much I know. You can't prove anything. I can prove everything. GPS tracking, phone records, business contracts, photographs. I have 6 months of evidence documenting your affair and your business dealings. The question is what I do with it. What do you want? I want my life back. I want my friends to stop treating me like a pariah. I want to walk through this town without people whispering about what a fool Adam Miller is. I can't undo what's already happened. No, but you can make sure it doesn't get worse. She sits down at the kitchen table, suddenly looking older and more tired. What are your terms? Divorce, no contest. You get your personal belongings and your car. I keep the house, the savings, and my retirement accounts. You find a new job, one that doesn't involve working with your boyfriend. That's not fair. I have a right to half of everything. You had rights when you were a faithful wife. You forfeited them when you decided to cheat and lie and try to destroy my reputation. And if I don't agree? I lean back in my chair, meeting her eyes steadily. Then I send copies of everything to your boss, Ryan's business partners, and the local newspaper. I also file a complaint with the state ethics board about your conflict of interest. Your career will be over, and Ryan's development project will die in a scandal. You wouldn't. Try me. Marta stares at me for a long moment, probably trying to calculate whether I'm bluffing. She's always been good at reading people, but 8 years of marriage have taught me to hide my thoughts when necessary. I need time to think about it. You have 24 hours. After that, the offer expires. She leaves without another word, and I finish making dinner in the quiet of my empty house. The ultimatum was a calculated risk. Push too hard, and she might call my bluff. But I'm betting that Marta values her career more than her pride, and exposing her affair publicly would destroy both. My phone rings an hour later. Derek's name appears on the screen. Adam, I just heard from Tom that Marta was at your house. Are you okay? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. Look, I know I screwed up before. We all did. We should have stood by you instead of judging how you handled things. Can we try again? I consider the offer. Derek sounds genuinely contrite, and I miss having friends to talk to. But trust, once broken, isn't easily repaired. Maybe, but things can't go back to the way they were. I know. We'll do better, I promise. We'll see. Wednesday passes without word from Marta. Thursday morning, I wake up to find Ryan Carter's BMW parked in my driveway. He's sitting behind the wheel, talking on his phone, probably working up the courage to confront me. I pour myself a cup of coffee and walk outside, taking my time. Ryan ends his call and gets out of the car, trying to look intimidating in his expensive suit and designer sunglasses. We need to talk, he says. No, we don't. You need to get off my property. Marta told me about your demands. You're being unreasonable. I'm being generous. If you don't think so, we can let the courts decide how to split assets between a faithful husband and a cheating wife. Ryan steps closer, invading my personal space. You think you're so smart, don't you? Playing detective, gathering your little evidence files. But you don't understand what you're dealing with. Enlighten me. I have connections in this town. Business partners, political friends, people who owe me favors. I can make your life very difficult if you don't back off. I take a sip of coffee, letting the threat hang in the air. Is that supposed to scare me? It's supposed to make you think. You're a factory worker, Adam. I'm a successful businessman with resources you can't imagine. This isn't a fair fight. You're right. It's not fair. I smile, enjoying the moment. You're fighting someone who has nothing left to lose, while you're trying to protect a reputation and a business that are built on lies. Guess which one of us has the advantage? Ryan's confidence wavers slightly. What's that supposed to mean? It means I've done my homework on you too, Ryan. Your company is leveraged to the hilt. Your development projects are behind schedule, and you've been using affairs with married women to secure business deals for years. Marta's not special. She's just your latest mark. You don't know what you're talking about, don't I? Sarah Hoffman, 3 years ago. Married to the city planning commissioner. Had an affair with you right before your Riverside project got approved. Jennifer Walsh, 2 years ago. Her husband was the bank president who approved your construction loans. Should I go on? Ryan's face has gone pale beneath his tan. You can't prove any of that. Maybe not in court. But I don't need court-level proof to destroy your reputation. I just need enough evidence to make people ask uncomfortable questions. I finish my coffee and turn to go back inside. You have until tonight to convince Marta to take my deal. After that, I start making phone calls. Adam, wait! I stop, but don't turn around. What if we could work something out? Some kind of arrangement that benefits everyone? Now I do turn around, curious to hear what he's proposing. What kind of arrangement? Money. A lot of it. Enough to make this whole thing go away quietly. You want to buy me off? I want to solve this problem like businessmen. Everyone gets what they want, nobody gets hurt. I pretend to consider the offer, letting hope creep into Ryan's expression. Then I shake my head. The problem with buying people off, Ryan, is that it only works if they're for sale. I'm not. Everyone has a price. Maybe, but you can't afford mine. I go back inside and watch through the window as Ryan sits in his car for another 10 minutes, probably trying to figure out his next move. When he finally drives away, I'm already planning mine. The game has moved into its final phase, and I intend to win. Thursday evening, Marta calls. Her voice is strained, defeated. I'll take your deal. Smart choice. But I want something in return. A guarantee that you won't use the evidence you've collected to hurt my career. As long as you honor the divorce agreement and stay away from me, your secrets are safe. And Ryan? Ryan's not my problem anymore. He's yours. We agree to meet at a neutral location Friday morning to sign the preliminary divorce papers. I choose the coffee shop where Victoria and I had met. Public enough to prevent any dramatic scenes, but private enough for honest conversation. Marta arrives looking haggard, wearing sunglasses that don't quite hide the dark circles under her eyes. The stress of the past week has aged her, stripped away the polished veneer that made her so attractive to men like Ryan Carter. "You look terrible," I observe. "Thank you. You look smug." I feel smug. "It's been a good week." She slides the signed papers across the table. "There. Are you happy now?" I review the documents carefully. Everything is in order. No contest divorce, asset division is agreed, no alimony. It's more generous than she deserves, but I want this finished cleanly. "What happens now?" she asks. "Now we file these papers and wait for the court date. In 6 months, we'll be officially divorced, and you can start your new life with Ryan." "There is no new life with Ryan." I look up from the papers, surprised. "What?" "He broke up with me yesterday. Said the situation had become too complicated, too risky for his business. He needs to distance himself from the scandal." The irony is perfect. Marta destroyed our marriage for a man who abandoned her the moment things got difficult. She sacrificed 8 years of stability for a few months of excitement that evaporated under pressure. "I'm sorry," I say. And surprisingly, I mean it. "No, you're not. You're enjoying this." "Maybe a little, but I'm also sorry it came to this. We had something good once." Did we? Or was I just better at pretending back then? It's a fair question, one I've been asking myself for weeks. Looking back, I can see the signs that our marriage was in trouble long before Ryan Carter appeared. The growing distance, the lack of intimacy, the way we'd stopped really talking to each other. Maybe the affair was just the symptom, not the disease. I don't know, I admit. But it doesn't matter now. Marta removes her sunglasses, and I see tears in her eyes. "I know you hate me, but I want you to know that I never meant for it to happen this way. I didn't set out to hurt you. But you did hurt me. And when I tried to defend myself, you tried to destroy me completely. I was scared. Ryan convinced me that you'd try to ruin me financially, that I needed to strike first to protect myself. So you let him manipulate you into making false accusations against me?" She nods miserably. "I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of any of this." "Then why did you do it?" "Because I felt trapped. Our marriage was dying, and I didn't know how to fix it. Ryan made me feel alive again, made me feel desirable. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't stop myself. It's the first honest thing she said to me in months, maybe years. I should feel vindicated, but instead I just feel tired. What will you do now?" "Look for a new job, I guess. Start over somewhere else. My reputation in Millbrook is pretty much destroyed." "You could stay. People forget, eventually." "Could you? If you saw me around town, at the grocery store or the gas station, could you forget?" I consider the question honestly. "Probably not." "Then I'll leave. It's better for both of us." We sit in silence for a few minutes, two people who used to love each other saying goodbye. It's not the ending either of us imagined when we got married, but it's the ending we've earned. "Adam? Yeah? For what it's worth, you're not the same person I married. That man would never have fought back like this. Is that good or bad? I don't know, but maybe it's what you needed to become." She leaves, and I sit alone with my coffee and my victory. It tastes more bitter than sweet, but it's mine. My phone buzzes with a text from Derek. "Heard Marta's leaving town. Want to grab a beer and talk?" I consider the invitation. My old friends are ready to welcome me back into the fold, to pretend the past few weeks never happened. It would be easy to accept, to go back to being the Adam Miller they remember, but that Adam Miller let people walk all over him. That Adam Miller valued peace more than respect, harmony more than truth. I text back. Maybe next week. Still have some things to finish. Because I'm not quite done yet. Marta is leaving town, but Ryan Carter is still here, still thinking he can manipulate people and escape the consequences. He's about to learn that some debts can't be paid with money or influence. The final act of this drama is still to come. Ryan Carter's downfall begins with a phone call to the Millbrook Gazette on Monday morning. The local newspaper isn't much, mostly high school sports scores and town council meeting minutes, but it's read by everyone in town, and the editor, Janet Morrison, has always been hungry for a real story. "Miss Morrison, I have information about potential corruption in the city planning department. Are you interested?" I meet Janet at a diner outside of town. bringing copies of all the evidence I've collected about Ryan's pattern of using affairs to secure business deals. She listens with growing excitement as I lay out the connections between Ryan's romantic conquests and his successful development projects. This is explosive, she says, reviewing the documents. But I need more than circumstantial evidence to publish something like this. What if I could get you a confession? From who? Ryan Carter himself. Janet's eyes light up with the predatory gleam of a journalist sensing a career-making story. How? Leave that to me. Just be ready to run the story when I give you the signal. That evening, I call Ryan and arrange to meet him at the backstep. It's a calculated choice. My former hangout, now neutral territory, where he'll feel safe enough to talk freely. He arrives looking confident, probably thinking I want to negotiate some kind of deal. He orders an expensive whiskey and settles into the booth across from me with the casual arrogance of a man who's never faced real consequences for his actions. So, Adam, ready to be reasonable? I'm always reasonable. The question is whether you are. What do you want to know? I lean forward, keeping my voice low and conversational. I want to know how you do it. How you identify the targets, how you seduce them, how you use them to get what you want. Ryan smirks, flattered by what he perceives as professional curiosity. It's not that complicated. You find women who are unhappy in their marriages, usually successful women who feel underappreciated. You make them feel special, desired. Most of them are so starved for attention, they'll do anything to keep it. And their husbands don't suspect? Husbands like you? No offense, but you guys are oblivious. You get comfortable, stop trying, take your wives for granted. By the time you notice something's wrong, it's too late. He's enjoying this, reliving his conquests with the casual cruelty of a predator. What he doesn't know is that I'm recording every word on my phone. So Marta wasn't your first married woman? God, no. She wasn't even the best. That would be Sarah Hoffman, the planning commissioner's wife. Now that was a woman who knew how to show appreciation. For getting her husband to approve your Riverside project? Ryan's smile widens. Among other things, Sarah was very generous with her gratitude. And Jennifer Walsh, the banker's wife? Jennifer was more of a business transaction. Her husband needed convincing to approve my construction loans, and she needed convincing that her marriage was a mistake. Everyone got what they wanted. He continues talking, oblivious to the trap he's walking into. By the time he realizes I'm not impressed by his conquests, but documenting them, it's too late. You know what the best part is, he says, finishing his third whiskey? These women think they're special, that they're the one who's going to change me. But they're just tools, means to an end. When I'm done with them, I move on to the next one. Like you did with Marta. Exactly like I did with Marta. She served her purpose, but the situation got too complicated. Time to cut my losses and find a new target. I stop the recording and slide my phone across the table. You might want to listen to this. Ryan's face goes white as he hears his own voice confessing to years of manipulation and fraud. You bastard. You recorded me without permission. Actually, Maine is a one-party consent state. As long as one person in the conversation knows it's being recorded, which I did, it's perfectly legal. What do you want? I want you to leave town. Sell your business, liquidate your assets, and disappear. If you're still in Millbrook by the end of the month, this recording goes to the police, the state attorney general, and every news outlet in Maine. You can't prove anything with that recording. It's just talk, bragging. No prosecutor would touch it. Maybe not. But it's enough to destroy your reputation and end your business. Your partners will drop you, your clients will flee, and every husband in town will know exactly what kind of man you are. Ryan stares at the phone, calculating his options. And if I leave? Then your secrets stay buried. You get to start over somewhere else. Maybe find a new hunting ground where nobody knows your history. This is extortion. This is justice. You've been destroying marriages and manipulating people for years. It's time to pay the price. He slides the phone back to me, his hand shaking slightly. How long do I have? 30 days. And Ryan? If I hear that you've tried to contact Marta or any of your other victims, the deal is off. He leaves without another word, and I sit alone in the backstep, feeling a deep satisfaction. The bar is crowded tonight, filled with people I used to call friends. Some of them nod in my direction, tentative gestures of reconciliation now that the dust is settling. Derek approaches my table carrying 2 beers. Mind if I sit? It's a free country. He sits down and slides one of the beers across to me. I heard Ryan Carter's putting his business up for sale. Rumor is he's leaving town. Really? That's interesting. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? I might have had a conversation with him about the benefits of a fresh start. Derek chuckles. You know, I'm starting to think we underestimated you, Adam. The old you would never have been able to pull off something like this. The old me was a sucker. I decided I didn't want to be a sucker anymore. So what happens now? Marta's gone. Ryan's leaving. Do you get your happy ending? I consider the question. My marriage is over. My wife is gone. And half my friends spent weeks treating me like a pariah. But I've also discovered that I'm stronger than I thought, more capable of fighting back when pushed too far. I don't know about happy, I say finally, but I got something better. What's that? Respect, starting with my own. Derek raises his beer in a toast. To new beginnings. To new beginnings. We drink, and for the first time in months, I feel like I'm exactly where I belong. 3 weeks later, Ryan Carter's real estate empire collapses like a house of cards in a windstorm. The Millbrook Gazette runs a front-page story detailing his pattern of using affairs to secure business deals, complete with quotes from my recorded conversation and interviews with several of his victims who finally found the courage to speak publicly. The state attorney general opens an investigation into corruption in the city planning department. The bank that approved Ryan's construction loans faces federal scrutiny. 2 city council members resign in disgrace, and the planning commissioner, Sarah Hoffman's husband, is arrested on bribery charges. Ryan himself disappears before the story breaks, liquidating his assets and fleeing to parts unknown. His lake house sits empty, with a for sale sign that nobody bothers to call about. His BMW was found abandoned at the Portland airport, keys still in the ignition. Marta leaves town the same week, taking a job with an advertising agency in Boston. She doesn't say goodbye, but Victoria tells me she's doing well, trying to rebuild her life away from the wreckage of her reputation. I should feel vindicated, but mostly I feel empty. Revenge, it turns out, is like junk food, satisfying in the moment, but ultimately unsatisfying. The divorce is finalized on a gray Thursday in November. I sit in the courthouse waiting room, wearing the same navy suit I'd worn to that disastrous dinner at Rosario's months earlier. Marta doesn't show up. She's already signed all the paperwork and waived her right to appear. The judge, a tired-looking woman in her 60s, reviews our settlement agreement with the practiced efficiency of someone who's seen too many marriages end badly. Mr. Miller, you're represented by counsel? Yes, Your Honor. And you're satisfied with the terms of this agreement? Yes, Your Honor. Very well. Divorce granted. Just like that. 8 years of marriage are officially over. I walk out of the courthouse a free man. Legally, if not emotionally. Derek is waiting for me in the parking lot, leaning against his truck with 2 cups of coffee from the diner across the street. How do you feel? He asks, handing me one of the cups. Older. Tired. Maybe a little relieved. The guys want to know if you're ready to rejoin the poker game. We've missed having someone to take money from. I smile despite myself. Yeah, I think I'm ready. Good, because Tom owes me $20 from the last game, and I need witnesses when I collect. We drive back to Millbrook together, talking about inconsequential things. The weather, the Patriots' chances this season, whether the new Chinese restaurant is any good. Normal conversation between old friends, the kind I'd missed more than I realized. That evening, I sit in my basement office, looking at the files I'd assembled during my campaign against Marta and Ryan. Months of evidence, carefully organized and meticulously documented. The tools of my revenge now obsolete. I feed everything into the paper shredder, watching years of secrets and lies disappear into confetti. The GPS tracker goes in the trash, along with the phone monitoring software and all the printed emails and text messages. It's time to let go of the anger that's been driving me. Time to stop being the man who destroyed his enemies and start being the man who builds something new. My phone rings. Victoria's name appears on the screen. Adam? I hope you don't mind me calling. Not at all. How are you doing? Better. I wanted to thank you for not including me in any of the stuff that came out about Ryan. I know I helped you, but I was still worried about being dragged into it. You did the right thing. That's worth protecting. I also wanted to tell you something. About Marta. I almost tell her I don't want to know, that I'm trying to move forward, but curiosity wins out. What about her? She's seeing a therapist, trying to figure out why she made such a mess of her life. She asked me to tell you that she's sorry, really sorry, for everything that happened. It's a little late for apologies. I know, but I think she means it. The Ryan thing really messed her up. She's starting to understand what she threw away. Good for her. I hope she finds what she's looking for. What about you? What are you looking for? It's a good question. For months, I'd been focused on revenge, on making Marta and Ryan pay for what they'd done to me. But now that the score is settled, I'm not sure what comes next. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll figure it out as I go. Well, when you do figure it out, I hope you'll be happy. You deserve that. After she hangs up, I sit in the quiet of my empty house thinking about the future for the first time in months. The house feels different now. Not like a mausoleum of a failed marriage, but like a blank canvas waiting for new memories. I could sell it, start over somewhere else like Marta did. Or I could stay. Reclaim this space and this town as my own. Make new friends, maybe even find love again someday. The old Adam Miller would have agonized over the decision, sought advice from everyone he knew, tried to find the safest possible path forward. But I'm not the old Adam Miller anymore. I'm someone who fights back when pushed. Someone who doesn't accept defeat quietly. Someone who's learned that sometimes the only way to win is to be willing to lose everything. I pour myself a scotch and raise it in a toast to the empty room. Here's to new beginnings, I say aloud, and to never being anyone's fool again. Outside, snow begins to fall, covering Millbrook in a blanket of white that makes everything look clean and new. It's going to be a long winter, but spring will come eventually. And when it does, I'll be ready for whatever comes next.